Thank you, Professor Basra. Um, respected Honorable Justice Nambiar, respected Dr. Tharoor, respected Dr. Joy, Professor Raj, Professor Venu. This is actually, before I introduce the report, I'll have to tell you that I'm second time lucky because this is my second interaction with Dr. Tharoor. And the first one was in Sundar Nursery when Congress Manifesto and the environmental part of that was being finalized. And I persuaded him that Mrs. Indira Gandhi was one of the first who talked about the emergency on tiger conservation. And he used the word in the Congress Manifesto. And this is the second time I'm meeting you again on the issue of environment. And I'm so thankful that this is one state we have come for a door-to-door campaign for sustainability, because this might provide an answer to many of the problems. I have been practicing environmental law for almost 2 decades. I had the fortune of working with the grassroots organizations. I have trained the Kerala Forest Department in Pichi and small places I have gone. Our last hope is actually the younger generation. And when Professor Raj talked about sustainability report, I just didn't understand initially last year why he wants a sustainability report. Because there was no requirement in law. There was no environmental impact assessment or environmental clearance requirement. And I just didn't understand what exactly he wanted to achieve out of it. But it took a lot of deliberation, and then I realized that he wants a white paper, that how India's #1 private university actually thinks about environment or thinks about sustainability. And that opened our mind. I got a freedom to do whatever study we want to do. We got Terry on board, and Terry said that we'll do on-spot assessments. We will take measurements, whether it's air quality, social indicators, water uses, sewage discharge, flora and fauna, tree plantation for a university which was as young as 12 years. We started on this exercise. Now, what did we actually finally realize what happened? When the report started happening with the photographs and with the kind of detailing which went into it, we realized that each student who is staying in the hostel or the teacher or the faculty, how much water they use, how many times in the washroom the water is flushed, and how the rainwater harvesting happens, what kind of birds visit the campus, what kind of flora and fauna is developing, how the local communities, the local nearby villages interact with the university, what is their social equation with them. All that became part of this report. If you see, just taking you towards the report, if you see, when we'll actually show you the report in another couple of minutes, we went on all the parameters that how much energy we use. Is our building energy efficient? How much sunlight comes to our buildings? What are the common self-assessment of all the energy parameters we do? And all the regulatory clearances, how regularly we update them. So this is an exercise which normally in India we never have this custom. We only want to do what is bare minimum is required. We never want to do anything which is not required by law. So the report will tell you many things, but what is the idea behind it? We have Honorable High Court Judge here. He will know that several Supreme Court and High Court judgments say that right to education should have it, right to environmental education, or the industry and the government should take initiative in educating younger students about the environmental conservation. Why? Because when the firecrackers ban happened in Delhi by the Supreme Court, it was primarily driven by the schools, because they were writing letters and emails to all the judicial authorities. And the courts were knowing that the younger generation supports this. I'll tell you another interesting instance. There is a Wildlife Protection Act never recognized Nevla. In Hindi we call it, in English we call it mongoose. So it used to be beaten to death in several parts of Karnataka. And with the fur of that animal, most of the paint industry used to make brushes. And every major multinational paint industry brushes were made out of the fur of Indian Nevla, Indian mongoose. And it was not protected in the Wildlife Protection Act. 2004, more than 3,000 postcards were written to the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. And within 2 months, we filed a petition, and they were tagged with all the postcards. And the mongoose was promoted from Part 1 of the Schedule 1 to Part 2 of the Schedule 2 of Wildlife Protection Act. It got the same protection which an elephant and a tiger has. So that's the power of the youth. That's the power of the younger generation. So what is the purpose? We expect that Kerala, of course, on environmental parameters or sustainability index, we are doing very well. But where is our challenge? Our challenge is that we have a face-off between infrastructure and environment. We don't want to see what happened in the demolitions last year because of a Supreme Court order. How will you avoid those future friction? If you start doing voluntary corrections yourself, and this report will tell you how do you do voluntary correction. For example, one of the sustainability report we are doing for a colony in Delhi, where we want to see how many times you go to buy milk or a grocery in your car. So we are doing a small report on that. Can you discourage that? How much plastic comes to your house? How many times you actually carry your bag to bring the vegetables? These are the reports you can do for your community, for your schools, for your small residential area. So the climate change or sustainability is no longer an alien concept. It's not even any longer your backyard concept. It's a concept which has to be part of your drawing room discussion. Thank you. This is the report. We are going to inaugurate the report. You have a look. So I have a copy in my hand. I request all the dignitaries on the dais to kindly release the report. And we come to the most literate state in India to show the way.